Hi there, I'm Greg Harradine, I'm a composer, and on this episode of Good Art, Bad Art, I'm going to be discussing a track off of this album, California by Mr Bungle, released in 1999. And the track in question is track 2, None of Them Knew They Were Robots. It's the longest track on the album, and in my book, it's the best track on the album. So yeah, I'm just going to talk for 8 minutes and share my views, my unedited views on the track and on the band, and why I think it's an example of very good art. Are you a Mr Bungle fan? Please let me know. And if you enjoy what I do, please subscribe. It really helps. So, why do I think it's a great track? Well, I feel probably that Mr Bungle are one of those bands that really divides people. I played this track to some friends once at a party 5 or 6 years ago. We were sort of going around, each choosing a song to listen to. Always fun thing to do. Good way to find out what your friends' tastes in music are like. And after a few rounds of this, I thought, let's try some Mr Bungle. Put on this track. Mostly I was greeted with looks of confusion, I would say, and actual discomfort at times. So it's not for everybody, but Mr Bungle are one of those bands that they encapsulate almost everything that's possible about music. And I don't think that's too large a claim to make. And this track, None of Them Knew They Were Robots, is a fine example. It's sort of, to me, it's like some crazy fairground ride gone bad, but that is underplaying it a lot. It's got this crazy energy to it. And playfulness mixed with huge erudition, lyrically and musically. Now the lyrics, written in this case by Trey Spruance, the lyrics you can't actually, or I at least, can't actually make a lot of them out when you listen to the track. But if you sit down and read the lyrics, my God, are they erudite. They showcase Spruance's huge interest, I think, in very esoteric things. Essentially, from what I can make out, this song is about how both religion and science attempt to describe the world and attempt to give answers, and they're just both wrong, a lot of the time. There's a lot more to it than that, but the lyrics are outstanding. Sit down and read them if you like this song, and you'd be surprised by what you find probably. And the music, we have everything from what do we have? The list is endless, really. We sort of have big band music, we have Western style things, we have surf rock guitar, we have obviously have some heavy metal in there. And then vocally, Mike Patton, if you're at all aware of Mike Patton as a vocalist, you'll know he runs the gamut, truly, from whispering to animalistic grunting and shouting to beautiful melodic singing to, Elvis style sort of crooning. Absolutely anything and everything you can do with the voice, he does it. And in this track, he really does. Huge amounts of vocal dexterity, which goes with the musical, the huge range of musical styles. You might think, from what I've said, that the song is it's like changing stations on a radio. It's like this, and then it changes, then it changes, then it changes. But no, it's not. The tempo never lets up. We've got this steady, quite fast beat going all the way through the 6 minutes. I say all the way through. There are sort of pauses and breaks, but the beat remains, right? The pulse never changes. And it all somehow sits together. That's the absolute magic, I think, of Mr Bungle and of None of Them Knew They Were Robots in particular. Somehow this weird alchemical mismatch of things somehow works. They really have transmuted base metals into gold. It is more than the sum of its parts somehow. I don't know how they do it. I don't, but it works. There's sort of cartoon music in there. There's sound effects. There's some sort of Latin chants in there, like Latin Latin church type words, which from what I can make out are talking about God. I don't know exactly what they're saying. But yes, let me read you before we end. This album, can you believe it, was released by Warner Brothers as well. A major label releasing this kind of absolutely niche and really weird, strange beyond belief album. Surprising that Warner Brothers released it. Let me read you the press release they released, because it sums up the album sort of quite well, but also I just find it kind of hilarious how it's described. Like, who wrote this press release? I do not know, but here it is. The press release from Warner Brothers, 1999, about this album, California, is as follows. California explores an ambience new to the band, conjuring up the surly dance moves of Sid Charisse and Fred Astaire, digging through the graveyard of riffs to find English pop, Elvis, Neil Diamond, and Michael Jackson. The album is sure to alienate those expecting weird meter changes and heartless vulgarities. To be sure, this is Western music, chock full of backbeats, strings, and vocal harmonies. But, like the original 49ers, the listener is headed into a desert land of drought and famine, the dark side of the California dream. I really don't know how I feel about that press release. But it tells us some important things. In a way, this album is more accessible than Mr Bungle's first two albums, which maybe were possibly even more alienating and weird, but you can't call this a pop album. You can't call California a pop album, but it is slightly more maybe melodic, or maybe, I don't know, it all hangs together in a slightly more accessible way, but still, for your average person who tends to listen to commercial pop music, it would just probably be a bit of a scary listen, perhaps. But if you've never listened to Mr Bungle, this is a good place to start. Sit down for 6 minutes. Listen to None of Them Knew They Were Robots. There are many other tracks I'd love to talk about by Mr Bungle. Do you have a favourite Mr Bungle track? Please let me know. And give me some other ideas for what I should discuss in this Good Art, Bad Art series. Could be songs, could be possibly albums. Could be books. I did an episode on Lolita a little while back. But I hope you enjoy this. It's fun for me to discuss some of my favourite and possibly least favourite things as well. Most of these have been about things I really love, but I've done a few about things I hate, mentioning no names, Ed Sheeran. Anyway, I've been Greg Harradine. Hope you've enjoyed this. See you next time.